In this in-depth investigation, we embark on a profoundly unsettling journey that traverses the disconcerting terrain of multiple cases of sexual abuse perpetrated by pastors. Within the confines of their roles as trusted leaders in their respective communities, these individuals sadly exploited their positions of authority, leaving behind a trail of pain and trauma. The stories that emerge from this exploration serve as stark, unwavering reminders of the critical significance of maintaining vigilance and unwavering accountability within the realm of religious organizations. Now, with a deep sense of commitment to unraveling these distressing accounts, let us embark on a journey that compels us to confront the darker aspects of trust, authority, and, most importantly, the imperative need for justice within our faith communities. Ohio Pastor Anthony Haynes, a web of exploitation. The unsettling case of Ohio Pastor Anthony Haynes exposes a harrowing tale of betrayal and abuse within the sacred confines of the Greater Life Church in Toledo. In this heart-wrenching narrative, we confront the stark reality of a person entrusted with spiritual leadership who instead committed grave acts of sexual assault against a juvenile girl over an extended period. Anthony Haynes, whose pastoral role should have exemplified moral guidance and compassion, perpetrated a relentless campaign of manipulation and terror. His actions cast a long shadow over the young victim's life, leaving her emotionally scarred and traumatized. Haynes employed cunning tactics to silence his victim and ensure her suffering remained hidden, exploiting her innocence and vulnerability. As the horrors of his deeds came to light, the wheels of justice finally began to turn. Pastor Anthony Haynes faced a reckoning, leading to his arrest and subsequent conviction on charges related to sex trafficking of a minor and child exploitation. This legal outcome stands as a testament to the importance of holding individuals in positions of trust and authority accountable for their actions, even within religious organizations. Michigan pastor Floyd Strickland, trading morality for deceit. Our investigation into the distressing world of sexual abuse involving pastors brings us to the case of Pastor Floyd Strickland in Michigan. Pastor Floyd Strickland, once a respected figure of authority within his congregation, found himself entangled in legal troubles that were nothing short of horrifying. The charges he faced were related to prostitution and human trafficking, but the extent of his actions went far beyond what anyone could have imagined. What sets Strickland's case apart from others is the disturbing revelation that he paid teenage boys to partake in sexual activities with his own wife. This revelation sent shockwaves through the community as it exposed the dark underbelly of a seemingly devout man's life, betraying the very principles of morality and spirituality he was expected to uphold. Clay County pastor Williams Randall, a 6-year nightmare. Our exploration of the deeply disturbing cases of sexual abuse involving pastors takes us to the unsettling story of Pastor Williams Randall in Clay County, Florida. Pastor Williams Randall stands accused of committing a heinous crime, one that began when the victim, a mere 12-year-old at the time, fell prey to his manipulative and predatory actions. Over the course of 6 harrowing years, she endured a nightmare of sexual abuse that left indelible scars on her psyche and soul. Initially, Randall vehemently denied the allegations, as is often the case with perpetrators who exploit their positions of trust. However, as the evidence against him mounted and the truth became undeniable, he was left with no choice but to plead guilty. His admission of guilt marked a turning point in the case, as it led to legal proceedings resulting in his sentencing. Among the consequences of his actions, Randall was registered as a sex offender, forever bearing the stigma of his crimes. Ex-youth pastor Michael Moeller, a short sentence for a long-lasting impact. Our exploration into the realm of clergy sexual abuse leads us to the disconcerting case of Michael Moeller, a former youth pastor in Miami County. This distressing incident revolves around Moeller's confession to sexually assaulting a vulnerable teenager who had placed their trust in him. However, it is the outcome of Moeller's case, marked by a plea deal that yielded a relatively short jail sentence, which has ignited a storm of debate and prompted profound questions regarding the appropriateness of the punishment. The brevity of Moeller's sentence has cast a harsh spotlight on the justice system's response to clergy abuse cases. Many argue that the consequences for Moeller are incongruent with the gravity of his actions and the enduring trauma inflicted upon the victim. This case serves as a stark reminder of the urgency to re-evaluate sentencing guidelines and to foster a deeper comprehension of the profound, long-lasting repercussions of such abuses. Georgia pastor Terrence Lamont King, exploiting trust for self-indulgence. Our journey into the disturbing world of clergy sexual abuse brings us to the shocking case of Pastor Terrence Lamont King in Georgia. This deeply troubling incident reveals the dark side of trust and authority within religious congregations, as King callously betrayed the innocence of a young girl under his spiritual care. The outcome of his actions was nothing short of devastating, culminating in his conviction on charges related to statutory rape and child molestation, which ultimately led to a harsh 30-year prison sentence. Terrence Lamont King's actions exemplify the sinister abuse of authority by those who are expected to be moral pillars within their communities. As a spiritual leader, King wielded significant influence over his congregation, a power he cynically manipulated to exploit a vulnerable young girl. This reprehensible act not only left the survivor traumatized, but also shattered the trust of the entire congregation in their spiritual leader, Acton Bowen, a fallen evangelist's dark secrets. Acton. Bowen's case is a distressing one that involves multiple allegations of child molestation and a subsequent legal trial that led to his conviction and a lengthy prison sentence. Acton Bowen, once a respected youth minister and evangelist, faced accusations from several underage victims who claimed that he had sexually abused them over a period of time. These allegations included instances of sexual misconduct and exploitation, which shook the religious community and the public. As the legal process unfolded, evidence against Bowen began to mount. Testimonies from the victims, along with other supporting evidence, were presented in court. The prosecution argued that Bowen had used his position of trust and authority within the church to gain access to and manipulate vulnerable young individuals. Ultimately, Acton Bowen was found guilty of the charges brought against him. The gravity and volume of his offenses led to a shocking sentence of over 1,000 years in prison, signifying the severity of his actions and their devastating impact on the lives of his victims. Kenneth Adkins, a pastor's sinister fantasy. Kenneth Adkins, an anti-gay pastor from Georgia, became the center of a harrowing case that involved a shocking murder and a sinister fantasy. Adkins was convicted of the murder of his fiancée's daughter, shedding light on a deeply disturbing sexual fantasy that ultimately led to his life sentence in prison. The case revolved around the tragic death of the young victim, and during the investigation, it was revealed that Adkins had sinister intentions. His actions were a grave betrayal of trust, as he had been in a position of authority and respect within his religious community. The murder not only exposed the heinous crime, but also raised questions about the true nature of his beliefs and the darkness that lurked beneath his public persona. John White, a pastor's gruesome confession. In the disturbing case of John D. White, a Michigan pastor, a horrifying confession emerged. White admitted to the gruesome murder of his fiancée's daughter, shocking the community and law enforcement alike. His motivation behind this heinous act was a twisted sexual fantasy, revealing the depths of his depravity. The details of the murder were chilling, as White's actions were cold and calculated, betraying the trust of those around him. His position as a pastor, someone expected to uphold moral and ethical standards, made the case even more shocking and distressing. As a consequence of his crime, John D. White received a 56-year prison sentence, serving as a sobering reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind seemingly respectable individuals. These cases highlight the harrowing reality of sexual abuse within religious institutions, where individuals in positions of trust exploit their authority for their own dark desires. It is crucial to remain vigilant and hold individuals accountable for their actions, regardless of their status within the community. By shedding light on these disturbing cases, we hope to inspire greater awareness and proactive measures to protect the vulnerable. If you found this exploration of these cases informative and thought-provoking, subscribe to our channel for more content on relevant topics.